Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about astrology and the death of Jerry Springer. Now, some of you may have, well, first off, I want to offer my prayers and condolences to the close friends and family members of Jerry Springer. If any, by some remote chance, one of those people happened to see this video. But the thing is, some of you may know, Jerry Springer was a controversial television host. He hosted that renowned show, The Jerry Springer Show. I think he was also, a politician, may have been an actor as well. He was versatile. He did, many different things in his life, and just to offer, pay a little tribute to him through the video, and may he may be gone, but not forgotten. His legacy, I'm sure, will endure in many people's hearts forever. But anyway, well, Jerry Springer was as far as his chart goes, he was a Sun in Aquarius, Moon and Ascendant in Libra. Obviously, a very intellectual, cerebral, combination. His Mercury was also in Aquarius. I'm sure he had very innovative, ingenious thinking. The thing about Jerry Springer, he always had to seem to have a quick comeback. For whatever, somebody would say something on the Jerry Springer show, or, whatever it might be, he would have, somebody would, make an off-the-cuff remark. It might be derogatory remark. He would always have something to say, a quick rebuttal to it. And I was really impressed by it. Now, the show was controversial. It was at least rumored. It may have been proven that, the shows were staged and rigged, but they was still, as far as entertainment goes, they were very enjoyable. And the thing about this is when you look at, his chart, Sun and Aquarius, as far as the basic character goes, obviously very, non-conforming, unorthodox, unusual, unconventional, maybe even a little rebellious at times. And had in the fourth house, he was obviously probably was very close to home with that energy, so to speak. But he may have expressed a lot of that with, people, that he was close to home with, and even the latter part of life. It's ironic because he brought, that energy into our homes, through the Jerry Springer show, and it's in his fourth house of the home. Now he had but the Moon and Libra, emotional needs, naturally being connected with things that are refined, that are artistic, intellectual, sociability. And I think when you look at the Sun in Aquarius, Moon in Libra, and Libra rising, you could see he was just meant to do something on television because, you look at the sign of Aquarius is connected, with television. You have, the Moon, Libra, and having a Libra ascendant, is acting, because I think he did some acting roles, but you may want to confer that on the internet. And having Libra ascendant naturally had a very, charming facade. And he was also a lawyer too, I believe, and Libra is connected, with legal field. So it's not surprising he was, an attorney as well. He's got he's got his Moon, Ascendant, Mercury, and Sun. He's got 3 planets, in Gemini. So, and he's got Neptune in Libra. So 3, let's see, 5. He's got like 8 planets in air. So there was obviously a lot of, emphasis on, cerebral activity, assimilating information, communication. That the 3 planets in Gemini, it's emphasized a lot of, the versatility that he had. He also had, so it was interesting. He's got Jupiter in Leo in the 10th house. Jupiter, is Jupiter in Leo can be lucky when being flamboyant, gregarious, outgoing, creative, entertaining, magnanimous, generous. He brought this energy in the 10th house of the career. He, at the same time, though, looking at his chart, he was, somebody, that was just, born, I would say, to be doing something connected with television. And thing is, I'm checking on something. I gotta move. Bear with me, people. I gotta see something with his. If I could actually scroll down, and I'm trying to see if his Mercury actually squared his late Libra ascendant, and it looks like it may have, and that would be why, maybe the reason why a lot of his unpredictable comments maybe didn't always go off well with others. And but the thing about this is, when I look at um, his chart, and as far as him, sad passing. It was stated. I should have gotten to that earlier in the video. People, I'm sorry that he had apparently he had died of cancer, but I couldn't find the specific cancer. The reports didn't seem to elaborate on what kind of cancer he died of. But I'm going to say it may well have been lung cancer, and here are some of the reasons. Transit Pluto was close to his fourth house cusp of end of life and near his Mercury, natal Mercury in Aquarius, and Mercury is connected with the lungs. Pluto is associated with death. He also had um, the two rulers of his fourth house cusp of end of life. He has Aquarius on the cusp of the fourth house. Both those rulers, Saturn and Uranus, are in Gemini in the eighth house of death, and Gemini is associated with the lungs. Saturn in Gemini, though generational by itself, could indicate a chronic illness associated with the lungs. I mean, it could have been cancer. I mean, technically, I guess there's a cancer in the arms as well, and Gemini is connected with the arms, so that's a possibility. I'm leaning more toward the lung cancer, though. And he also, interestingly enough, he had the ruler of his 12th house cusp, Venus, um, in the third house, and the third house corresponds with lungs. 12th house is a house of endings. So when I look at this, I'm thinking it really leans toward lung cancer, and I don't know that for a fact. It hasn't been validated or verified yet, and I don't know if they'll ever disclose that. But all I know right now is that he did pass away. It was today, April 27, 2023, of lung cancer. He also had, at this time, transit Jupiter, making a long opposition to his ascendant. And Jupiter can have a connection with Cancer. Aries is aggressive, so it might have come on very aggressively. And I think this was a fairly recent diagnosis too. It doesn't mean he didn't have it before he was diagnosed with it. So it's really may not be a way at this time to state precisely how long he actually had the cancer, but he may not have had it that long. And sadly, Aries, energy can work, very fast. It's very aggressive, impatient energy. Um, he also had Neptune and Pisces, I would say, a loose in conjunct as transit Neptune and Pisces, making at least a loose in conjunct aspect to his Libra ascendant. And in conjuncts can often be about adjustments and health related issues as well. And Neptune is about disease. Pisces are ones that are incurable and can't be eradicated. So, these are some as far as transits go, which could, have some indication as to, sadly, his passing. So, and again, I do, I mean, it's terrible to hear about, people passing away. He died at like age 79, so he did live to at least an average age, if not a little bit longer. And his Pluto, interestingly enough, is in Leo in the 10th house. So Pluto, I know it's generational, but it's not surprising, in a way that he was someone that when he passed away, that his death would gain some notoriety and recognition. Um, another another thing about as far as Jerry Springer goes, he also has the North Node in Leo in his 10th house. Not something that's shocking or bewildering, because it shows where his future and destiny lied, in being flamboyant, being the entertainer, and getting attention, and being in the 10th house, getting notoriety and recognition. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back, but anyway. And I'm just looking to see if there's anything else in the chart that isn't connected. Important to look at anything of any significance. Well, the transit Venus appears to be making a conjunction, or at least a loose one, to his natal Saturn, and that could manifest in a number of ways. He might have been feeling a little bit more alone and desolate at this time of his passing, and it's in his 8th house of death. I want to say that transit as well. But at the same time, on a positive end, it could also suggest that people, his important friendships, relationships, those people were there to be there for him during the time of him dealing with chronic illness. And Saturn and Gemini, again, I do believe, it was likely it was something with the lungs, and I don't know if there's any other cancers that are associated with like the respiratory system and breathing, but I'm thinking it could have been a cancer that was connected with that one way or the other. He has also Mars in his 8th house of death, and Mars, Gemini, Mars, again, is aggressive. This was something that we passed away. Again, it was something that came on, I believe, very aggressively. Uranus in the 8th house can indicate a very shocking, passing, very sudden, abrupt, spontaneous one. And the thing is, another thing I noticed he has, I don't know if I stated it before or not, he has the ruler of his 8th house of death in the 3rd house. And the 3rd house is associated again. It corresponds with Gemini, and it's the lungs. He has Sagittarius on the cusp of his 3rd house, but what I'm saying is the 3rd house is the house that does correspond with the zodiac sign, Gemini. And another thing, Mercury is in his 4th house, and at least loose conjunction to the 4th house cusp. The thing about that is that's an indicator to the end of life could come due to something connected with Mercury, anatomically speaking. And again, Mercury is associated with the lungs and breathing. So I'm really leaning toward that. That's what happened. I would say likely how he passed away. Maybe again they might divulge that online at some point in time. I don't know if it ever will, but I'm just speculating at this point in time. And having Taurus on the cusp of the 8th house, that shows that his passing, the death, could be one where it still was in a situation where it was very peaceful and tranquil. And another thing is that having the ruler, he has both rulers of the 4th house of the end of life in the 8th house, or the 4th house is also the house of the home. And my understanding is he passed away in his home. Both rulers of the 4th house fall in the 8th house of death. So it's not surprising that he did pass away in his home. I think it was in the suburbs of Chicago. So, it's interesting how astrology, what makes it so fascinating is just the accuracy and, validity of it. And you could see so many, things in his chart. And I wish this was something that is on a better note. But, this is, again, it's a sad passing. I'm sure Jerry Springer had, innumerable fans out there that, loved what he did. That he was, somebody that was obviously, very, entertaining, jovial, very animated, a person that, brought, a lot of laughter to people especially during that time when he was on the Jerry Springer show. So there's really not much more, someone could add than this. The only other thing I'm going to state, I did notice that transit Uranus was very close to his 8th house cusp, and that's another indicator of a death that could occur and transpire in a very, shocking, kind of spontaneous manner. So that's pretty much want to get at. As many of you may know, transit Mercury is still retrograde in Taurus, so that's could be another reason why at this point in time where, there's going to be delays in communications, and in this case, including maybe more of the specifics as to Jerry's passing. What kind of cancer did he actually have? Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.